means that even highly educated people generally do not know how to handle money, and that's so true. The result is the majority of people get trapped in work to pay their bills and are chasing paychecks all their life. That's so true. From paycheck to paycheck. You just don't know what happens. It happens all the time. All right? I'm sorry. Robert Kiyosaki's biological father was brilliant and a charismatic, finishing his 4-year undergrad degree in less than 2 years. Very smart man. Then going on to attain a master's and a PhD at 2 prestigious universities before rising to the #1 position in the state of Hawaii educational system. He left debt to be paid upon his death. Why is that? While Robert's mentor, who never ever finished 8th grade, because he refreshed the man. No, I'm sorry. Because the richest man in the state, leaving tens of millions of dollars to his family and charity. All right. So he's painting the picture here, Mr. Kiyosaki, is that he had 2 dads. His regular dad, okay, his biological father, was very smart and very brilliant. All right. He got his education at a very young age. He went on with his undergrad in 2 years. He went on, got his master's and his PhD, and then he was promoted within the schooling system and became the head person in Hawaii's educational system. Many of us would call that a success story, right or wrong. I would say, yeah, that's a success story. He worked hard. He believed in what he was doing. He was successful. Now he's getting paid for it. He's getting paid for it. All right, let's go on. Know what this is very, 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 very important here. Know what an asset is. A asset. A-S-S-E-T. Know what an asset is. Acquire them and become rich. All right, come on. I want you to think about this. Know what an asset is. Acquire them and become rich. Some of us think, that's easy, huh? Yeah, some of us think that's easy, but it's not as easy as you think, because we have to change your thought pattern. Your thought pattern has to change when it comes to money. And until your thought pattern changes, then that's going to be a very, very hard task to become rich or somewhat well off. That way you don't have to worry about anything as you get older. All right? Let's go through this. The trouble is that people are not properly taught. That's the key word. Who's training you about finances? Who has taught you when you were younger up to your present day? Training is the key to your financial success. Many do not know the difference between an asset, something which puts money in your pocket. And now listen again. That's the key right there. Number 1. An asset is something which puts money in your pocket. All right? And a liability is something which what? Takes money out of your pocket. So, what we're trying, we set the foundation here. So now we have to build a foundation. We got money coming in, but are we paying out more money than we have assets, which the assets in return can pay for the liability? Did you hear what I just said? We have to get in the mindset or get around somebody that can teach us about assets and liabilities. And then once we have enough money in our asset column, we can take some of that money that we are earning that's coming in on a regular basis. We can take that money and pay off some of those liabilities. And that way we saving money because we have no more liabilities. The key to financial freedom is limiting your liabilities. Really, you shouldn't have none. You remember what I said about 3 weeks ago? That 75% of the most wealthiest people here in the country is what? You remember what he said? 75% of the consumers, well, I'm going to put it this way. 75%, a lot of millionaires have said that 75% of the millionaires have said the key to winning at money is getting out of debt and staying out of debt. Did you hear what I just said? The key to win at money. Get out of debt and stay out of debt. And once you out of debt, then the assets that you have learned about and you have invested, then that will take care of you. You will never have to worry about a liability again because you're going to offset it by your assets. So the money is not coming directly out of your pocket. It's coming out of the benefits that you have generated from your asset that's paying you. And you take some of that, you pay that bill off, so you're not creating no liabilities because your asset is being able to pay for those bills. Praise be to God. That's huge, isn't it? Wow. All right. Kiyosaki, main point, Robert, which is the writer of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Main point is the only way to become financially independent is to accumulate income, generate assets, which pay for your expenses. I just said that. You got to find a way, but first you got to get out of debt first. You got to get out of debt. All right, let's go on. I hope that you're getting this. However, many people rather buy a new car or an iPad, which are liabilities. Those are liabilities. What are we talking about liabilities? Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. All right? Instead of investing that money in stocks or real estate, which is what? An asset. Anything that's going to put money in your pocket is an asset. All right. The fear, some of us have a fear of straying from the generally accepted life path plays a big role in the financial decision-making process, which is true. A lot of us are fearful if we step out of the box and do something different than what our friends are doing, that we're going to be shunned or we're going to be laughed at. We're going to be talked about. All right. I hope you got that. All right. The fear of straying from the generally accepted life path plays a big role in your financial decision-making process. However, if you do not want money to control you like it does most people, then you will have to do things differently. You can't do the same things over and over and over and over again and expect the same outcome. You can't. You got to change the way you do things to get a different outcome. And that's why you have to look at your finances differently. If you're in debt, you can't even deal with this at this point because you're not there yet. You have to get out of debt first before you can start being able to take money and start allotting it into investing. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to open an account on Monday. I have come to that point where I can start doing a little something and start investing. But you got to get to that point. I have no credit card debt whatsoever. None. Zero. Zilcho. All right? All right. Let's go. Let's continue on. If you want money to control you like it does most people, then you will have to do things differently from the crowd. Investing legend John Templeton seems to agree on this point. But you already own income-generating assets. I mean, you may have that already because you own a house. The best investment you can make, right? Really? Not really, because that house to keep up is going to take money out of your pocket. Right or wrong? So, what you got to do, you got to change your thought pattern. Let's go down to number one. Most people work all their lives paying for a home they never own. Praise be God. Why? Because you got a mortgage. So you never really own it. Unless you do an aggressive mortgage, instead of going a 30-year term, go 15 years. Yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you cut your interest in half, and you'll be able to, enjoy your home a little bit, much more longer, and it'll be yours. All right. Number two, despite a tax deduction for interest on mortgage payments, all expenses are paid with after-tax dollars. All right. Let's get on down with it. Number three, property taxes can suddenly be increased without notice. That's right. And that's something that's money out of your pocket. That's liability out of your pocket. Houses do not always go up in value. And, I remember years ago when we had the real estate boom. Decline. And a lot of houses, a lot of people got stuck because the houses was not worth what they initially paid for the house because of what was going on in the economy. A lot of people got rid of a lot of houses. They had a loss. They had lost because they couldn't get out of the contract. All right, come on, let's go. Opportunity costs are tremendous, because when all your money is tied up in your house, there will be no money left to invest in income generating assets. That's right. So when you got money coming out of your pocket, liabilities, you will never have money to invest it so you can create assets. You will never have it. So you will never be in a position to dictate your future, because now your liabilities are dictating your future, because you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. All right. Now the question is on the table: why do the rich get richer? Why do the rich get richer? We always say that. We always say that cliche, right? The rich get richer. All right. I've heard from many people around me, people that I've, my mentors, magazines I've read, tapes that I've listened to, and a lot of things when I was growing up, when I was in my early 30s, I guess. At that time, I was hearing about finances from my bishop, but it just went in one ear and out the other ear. Why? Because of the way I was trained by my aunt. Like, you know, okay, that's a big deal. You know, maybe a big deal to somebody else, but it didn't really mean much to me because I didn't understand. All right. They do not understand why they earn more money. They earn more than they used to, but still have no money left at the end of the month. Why is that? A good question. They struggle financially because when their income goes up, their expenses also go. Why is that? Because you keep buying things that you don't need. However, their assets do not increase, but their liabilities do. That's what I just said. They work to make their boss rich. They work to pay government taxes, and they work for the bank to pay off their debts. Wow, that's huge. That's huge. All right. All right. They work to make the boss rich, and I'm gonna say it again. They work to pay government taxes. They work for the bank to pay off their debts. Working harder means that you have to hand over hand and eat. You will have to hand over an even bigger share of your efforts to these three parties. That's right. So all the money you're working for is really not your money, because either you're going to pay it in taxes, you're going to pay it in other things, and you really left with little or none. All right. All right. The rich get richer because their assets generate more than enough income to cover their expenses. So they're not spending no money out of their pocket. All the things that they buy or they have come strictly out of their assets. All right, so you got to remember that. The rich get richer because they generate assets, generate income to cover their expenses, and part of the income is then reinvested into new assets. So they keep turning the money over and over again. Now, like I said before, coming from a minority family, I ain't never heard no stuff like this. This is Spanish to me. This is Spanish. All right, and maybe to many of y'all, it may be Spanish as well. I didn't understand. I didn't have a freaking clue of what they were talking about. Didn't have a clue. All I knew, I had a job. I could buy what I want. I got me a car. I got some clothes. I'm straight. I'm successful, quote unquote. Was that the right thinking? Of course not. I was an idiot. But it didn't. The bulb didn't go off until many years later. All right. All right. Therefore, increasing the general income even further. On the stock market, net income, which is reinvested, is called retained earnings. Reinvesting income into new assets, the power of compound interest, to which Einstein once famously referred as an eighth wonder of the world. I'll read that again. On the stock market, and none of us don't know about stock market. I'm learning slowly but surely. I don't have a total grasp on it, because when I open this Roth IRA on next week, I'm going to sit down and ask questions and where the best place to put my money so it can grow. And then during that process, I'll be putting money in every month. So, in a few years, the next 15, 16 years, I'm going to retire. So I may still work, but I want to have some money there that I can depend on. All right. All right. Reinvesting income into new assets triggers the power of compound interest, to which Einstein, like I said before, referred to as the eighth wonder of the world. And basically what we've been talking about is generating assets. If you don't have no assets, you're under bondage. You are under slavery to your money. The money is telling you where you need to go. It tells you that. All right, let's continue on. All right, we have been talking about the income generating assets, but what falls in that category? Let's go over a few things. Here's a list to give you some ideas. 1, businesses that do not require your presence. All right, something to think about. 2, stocks. We just talked about the stock market. If you don't know something, we are so overloaded with stuff on the internet now. You can find just about anything. Anything you need. If you're willing to sit down and sacrifice a few minutes to read, you can find all you need to know. That's right. You ain't got to go out and hire a financial planner. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good, but once you get to a point that you're making so much money and you need help, then yes, I would suggest you go to a financial planner. But if you're going to start out slow, well, I tell you, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, income generating real estate. We talked about that. Royalties, somebody that you have money tied up and somebody left you some money, it's tied up, that can be released. You go to a lawyer and see if those royalties can be released earlier for you. And really anything which appreciates in value over a period of time. Land appreciates over time. You may not have the physical money, but when you go to sell it, then that money comes flowing into your pocket. That's something that I did. It's something that you may have to look into as well. All right? Let's look at lesson number 1. We're going to go through 3 lessons today. 3 lessons today. Dealing with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Life pushes you around. Some let it happen, others push back. It pushes you up in the rat race, driven by fear and desire, and that's what it does. I remember working in New York, basically, probably majority of my life. That was a rat race. Everybody's pushing, trying to go here, trying to go there, and I couldn't get it. But that was a rat race. But where are you going? You're going nowhere, because if you haven't been taught and trained in certain areas, you're just not going to know. You're not going to know. All right? You must, 1, money cannot banish fear and desire. That comes from the inside. See, when you're not sure about who you are, you're not going to be confident in money, because you're going to waste it on things that you really don't need. All right, let's go on. You must master your emotions. Use your emotions to think. Don't think with your emotions. Why? Because when you get your emotions tied up to something, you cannot think rationally. Can't do it. All right? You can't do it. Come on. All right, let's go. All right. You must master your emotions. Kiyosaki and his friend Mike opened a comic book library using the remainder comics and averaged $8.50 per week after paying $1 per week to Mike's sister to act as a librarian. All right? The course of study that the poor and middle class take is the conventional method. Study hard in school. We just talked about that. Get good grades, then get a safe job with excellent benefits at a big company. How many of you have heard that? I've heard it all my life. All my life. And many of y'all have heard it as well. All right? The course of study is to be rich. To be rich is very different, and most people never take the time to learn about it. We hear that cliche, but we never learn about what is the process. It's not all about being filthy rich, but just being comfortable and being able to take care of your bills and having money in the bank and being able to do some things that you want to do in life. But what the problem is that we got more liabilities in our life than we have assets. So we don't understand the concept behind it. All right? Instead, most people are stuck in endless cycle of fear and greed. That's so true. Fear of being without money compels them to work for it, and when they get the paycheck, greed makes them spend what they work for. They work hard to get paid more, but then follow up raises with more debt and more expenses. Why? Because of the flesh. The flesh wants more, 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 more. Like I said before, you will never be able to satisfy your flesh, ever. Most people want to feel secure with their money. So passion doesn't direct them, fear does.